episode 508 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 10th, 2024. The Penguin. This week, we're as surprised as you to be talking about The Penguin over on Max. Or maybe HBO. HBO Max. Is HBO Max still a thing?
Yeah, no one knows, kid. But after not being impressed, shall we say, with the Penguin and in the Matt Reeves version, you know, the very Jersey Penguin that waddles when he's being interrogated. After not being very impressed with that, in that movie...
Series.
Sure. We were shocked to see the only real spin-off coming from that movie.
Series.
Was... yep. Was the Penguin. Yeah, the only real spin-off was the Penguin.
But even more shocked to catch the pilot of the Penguin and love it.
Wow. Yeah, holy hell, kid. That series is actually, you know, it's better than good. It's best. It's good.
It's like mixing a suicide at the fountain.
That's, you know, they're still doing the suicides over at the fountain there. Gee. Man, I didn't know how Jersey Gotham was.
Right. I also didn't know how universal making suicides was as a kid. That's what we called it too.
But yeah, it was actually really fun and good.
Speaking of surprisingly fun and good, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes.
Oh, you damn right we are.
But The Penguin wasn't all we watched this week. Nick, what's in the diaries?
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Well, speaking of black crime shows, I finished up Black Donnelly's.
Nice. What'd you think? You're now the second person to have watched it ever.
It is like the same thing of, I feel like you still got me to do a whole season of Good Die Young again, of like, wait, why'd you make me watch Happy Town? That didn't do anything. That resolved nothing, you bitch.
So wait, they're running the credits. That's just it? It's over? Yeah, you want to record? Fuck you.
Man, you can go straight fuck yourself. Well, okay, well, what if the mom is the serial killer? That just raises more questions.
Right. Is he in the movie now? What is Happy Town?
I really like that show. I think it is worth a watch for anyone who is curious about how crime shows used to work on network TV back in the 2000s, because there is a vibe to it that is like what this show is trying to do. Guy Ritchie movies will do in the 2010s, and other crime shows like, you know, what I want to say Justified, but shows like that on FX. Like FX would, if this show had come out on FX today, like that would be a show to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Black Donnelly's on FX in 2020.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it would be like the best version of itself.
But I don't like it. The show has that manic Guy Ritchie energy. Snatch and Lock, Stock could come out by now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if it were made now on FX, it wouldn't have the desperate holy shit, we got to throw it all at the wall.
Yeah, you'd probably be in the spot of trying to slow down and say like, well, can we do?
Yeah, I don't mean it as like because if it was done now, of course they'd slow it down. I mean, they probably would, but I don't. That's not what I mean. This show could use a little bit of chill to let some things sit in, and give it space to genuinely figure out stuff to do with its female characters, and to leave Shawnee in the coma.
Olivia Wilde is so like, this is before she got really big, and honestly, like, she's a really good actress. I'm not sure why she isn't as, you know, as big as some other. I
think she stepped away and started directing.
Yeah, and honestly, good for her. I really like
she was on House,
yeah,
and then she did a bunch of several movies, and but now she directs, and I don't think she's going back.
Did she do Booksmart, or am I thinking of someone else?
That was her.
Yeah, but Olivia Wilde in this show has, like, I realized by the 13th episode, I was like, Les, I actually don't know anything about this character other than who wants to fuck her.
Yeah. No, she's entirely like it is a complete failure of the Bechdel test.
And then the only thing I know about her is that her dad has a memory problem. And guess what? The dad eventually mistakes her for his wife.
Yep.
So there's a moment where even the dad wants to fuck her.
Every character in the show hits on her. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and then at the end, I feel like they miss an opportunity to, because of not really doing anything better with her throughout the season, especially when you've got a hell of an actress in the role. She could carry whatever you need her to do. Because they don't really use her across the season, they miss an opportunity at the end when she takes like a fucking awesome go Jenny action for herself, and I'm pretty sure kills a motherfucker.
I don't know. He's either that or intensive care. Like she bends an
Shawnees
aluminum
man.
baseball bat on his head. Like he's not okay.
Like that bat is bent when she drops it. It's fucking violent. But it doesn't quite resonate back. It feels rushed somehow.
Yeah. Well, because that character had become evil out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah. But overall, I'm just glad it's streaming somewhere. It's over on Fandango at home or Vudu.
Yeah. And you can watch it there. Sometimes it'll like seem like it's asking you to pay for it, but you can watch it for free.
Right. It's asking if you want to buy it. There's a buy option.
I think maybe that's just what it's constantly trying to do. But yeah. the Crime Brothers, Jimmy especially is. I should hate Jimmy as a character, and it's not like
but that actor chews every piece of scenery in front of him, and it's fucking great.
But he's like the driving force of the show. If there was no Jimmy, there wouldn't be a bunch of shit for Tommy to fix.
Just be in school.
Yeah. Like I watched a movie called Monster Brawl, which was obviously some sort of like WWE thing going on.
That looked to me like when I walked through there, it looked like a Spike TV style. Who would be the worst kill? But for Halloween monsters. And
it's a big, wrestling match between I like that they had two tiers. There was the monsters and then the undead. Like Frankenstein and vampires and zombies were in their own bout.
Okay.
And then Swamp Thing, Cyclops, and Witch Bitch were in their own thing.
Yeah, okay.
And each one had a middleweight and heavyweight division.
Okay.
And I realized that Swamp Thing is definitely copyrighted because they go, hey, it's Swamp Gut. And
I was wondering how they were going to do that because you can't call it Swamp Thing and you can't call it Man Thing.
But he's like a swamp monster, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, the most famous swamp monster is definitely still copyrighted. You can get away, Frankenstein, Wolfman, you're good.
Yeah,
but
Moss Bro.
Yeah, I've barely watched it. It felt not particularly well put together. Someone had enough money to throw some effects in and whatnot. I wouldn't highly recommend. Otherwise, I watched the first episode of Boardwalk Empire because I was like, well, maybe I'll get into something that isn't The Sopranos for a minute.
But it's got the same prestige slow vibe.
Yeah, and also I can immediately go, you know what? This actually is I can tell I did enjoy this more than Sopranos because I watched some of this too. And I was like, yeah, this has storylines and Al Capone shows up in Ep 1 and causes some fucking ruckus, and the whole idea of the party they're throwing because the government is banning alcohol, and the criminals are these dumb motherfuckers. They throw a party in New Orleans or whatever because of how much goddamn money they're about to make selling moonshine.
Is it Atlantic City?
Atlantic City, yes, that was Atlantic City. Sorry, not New Orleans. But yeah, they how dumb the federal government is trying to
I remember there was the Onion's Our Dumb Century. It was a century of headlines.
Yeah.
Man walks on fucking moon, things like that. But they had a whole article that was the mafia totally reopening these absolutely closed distilleries that have not been operating for the last 2 years at all. And it's photos of guys carrying barrels out of a building and then back into the building well, got to bring these in fresh. They've definitely not been in here this whole time. Workers so overjoyed to be back at work that they say they can produce 2 years worth of liquor tomorrow. Maybe by lunch today.
Don't worry about it.
We've got it. Yeah. And I loved watching that side of Boardwalk Empire fascinates me.
And then I watched Plane again with Gerard Butler. It was a pretty solid movie again.
Honestly, if they call the sequel Plane, I hope they call the sequel Boat.
The sequel is going to be on a boat, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to call it boat.
Right.
You can't call it ship. We'll all think that they're gonna fall in love.
Right.
But I would also accept plane again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
plane again more.
Sure. Or it could be
that would be the third one.
Or it could be bus.
Right.
And then the bus has a bomb on it that can't go. Wait a minute.
That sounds familiar. And then its sequel could be on a boat.
Sure. Cruise Control.
Boat 2. Bus 2.
Cruise.
Bus boat. Don't you mean cruise ship? I said what I said.
I also watched 2 movies you showed me, including Escape Plan.
Yes.
Which, honestly,
it's the heat of Schwarzenegger and Stallone meetup movies.
Were you mad that the Expendables didn't ever actually deliver on the Schwarzenegger and Stallone movie? Well, here's a movie franchise. Like, here's the movie that does. Yay!
You're right. That also doesn't deliver on this.
Well, I mean, they're together in the movie and doing stuff, so it
does deliver on that. I love
also,
the review of it that was like, so this is a perfectly fine action movie for Van Damme or but unfortunately this has Stallone and Schwarzenegger in it.
Vinnie Jones and Van Damme should be doing this movie.
Absolutely. Scott Adkins and somebody can do the shit out of this movie.
Sure.
But unfortunately it stars Stallone and Schwarzenegger, so we need a little more.
Right.
Also, it is so pro-prison.
Dude, like, I did not...
Weirdly so.
Normally, escape movies are inherently you are supposed to be on the side of someone that escapes, so prisons are bad. Shawshank Redemption. And it's like, oh, the prison industrial complex is inherently unjust and unfair. Normally, the guy's innocent anyway, but, in a way, like, so we can really sympathize and say, good for you for getting out, in a way, Andy Dufresne. As well as your friend who actually did murder someone.
Right.
Because he didn't deserve to be in there as long as he did, until he couldn't, function out in the real world anymore. But this one is, he was a prosecutor and some guy escaped from a prison and killed his family.
Yep. And so he decided to make all prisons inescapable.
So there's no lesson about how this off-books prison is like, so this is just this dude's wet dream. It just so happens to be imprisoning him at this point.
Yes. Well, how dare a private person take all of my ideas and implement them at once? That's what I wanted a government to do.
Also, Vincent D'Onofrio shows up, and I literally turned to you and said,
he's in like the opening scene.
And I said, Vincent D'Onofrio did it. Like, wait, what? I don't know what yet. He probably didn't do it yet. Man. But once it's been done, he will have done it.
And I just said, I was like, there's no reason to even confirm or spoil this, because like obviously you're dead right. And like I can't even explain. The setup's not even there for him to have done yet. But you'll know it when it happens, and he'll have done it.
Right. like well, I mean, otherwise, why is he?
Why is he even here? Why is he wearing that hat? No innocent person's ever worn that hat.
Fedora or whatever the fuck he's wearing.
And then we also watched
Convoy,
because R.I.P. Chris Christopherson.
Do you ever wish that Smokey and the Bandit was just darker?
So I had seen Convoy when I was probably 10 or 11, and I started it up on Sunday morning, and I got maybe 10-15 minutes in. Deep enough into Paulie from Rocky, talking in
hey, my handle's love machine
in CB code, trucker code to Rubber Duck. Keep me in that rocking chair there, Rubber Duck. You got the best caboose in the industry.
Yeah, Rubber Duck is our hero, by the way.
Yes. And I just stopped the movie and was like, hey Nick, if you're up.
I just yell out from like, Nick,
you should come in here.
There's a movie called Convoy.
You want to watch Convoy?
Why is your southern accent more pronounced?
I don't know reason. What you're talking about. Come back.
Come back from where? What are you doing?
So we watched Convoy, which is a B movie over directed by a industry great. Fucking Sam Peckinpah for no goddamn reason.
It's like, okay, so Sam Peckinpah is gonna make Smokey and the Bandit, and you go, what?
What?
Why?
Like, well, that's gonna be dark.
Like, yeah, like that feels like no, but Smokey and the Bandit is fun, and like, hey, fuck those cops, and we're gonna get one over on them. And Sam Peckinpah is like, well, I mean, sure, but someone's gonna get almost beat to death at at some point in this movie, correct? Like
Sam Peckinpah's like, oh, you made a fuck cops movie? Hold my beer. And on second thought, hand me a second beer. I can do this with 2 beers.
So now, there's enough interesting stuff going on in Convoy, just story-wise. Like, they're trying to do something with the trucker thing,
Right.
and the trucker unions.
And the recognizing that the governor wouldn't be talking to, or the senator, whoever wouldn't be talking to him if there weren't an angle in this
Right.
for him.
That he wasn't going to get votes out of being a workman, blue-collar hero from supporting the truckers.
And then also they make hay out of when the reporter gets there and tries to go down the line of like, because this is Convoy's about something.
Right.
And let's find out what it's about. And every single one of them, it just gets crazier and dumber every reason they're given until the last guy's like, well, that's how they get you with the space laser.
Right.
Like,
So, well, okay, I'll tell you, but first you got to understand about Watergate, and like, and then he comes back up to the top like, so I don't understand what this convoy's about.
Well, I think Christopherson looks at the reporter at that point like, hey, did you learn a bunch back there?
No,
No.
but also, the message is why they're doing this is not complicated. They all give the same answer. It's just different variations of
Right.
the same answer, and that same answer is because fuck cops.
Yeah.
Because this is, again, it is from a time period from before I was alive, so it's like a mythical...
1978.
So it's a mythical thing for me to imagine a America that was this much. But fuck cops, right?
Because, like, that movie came out the year I was born, so, like, that's the
Man,
world I was born into.
All cops do is sit around and try and catch you doing shit and fuck with you, and I'm like, man, did we know this in the 70s and then forget about it?
Willfully forgot it.
Like, because, like, I feel like we've come back around on it now with movies like Rebel Ridge that, like,
Right.
don't feel like we have to justify, oh, these are bad cops. Like, Convoy is, no, they're bad because they're cops.
Right. I mean, they go through maybe a third or a quarter of what Rebel Ridge goes through to show you that these cops suck, but after a while, man, the Convoy guys straight up did all this shit, man.
No, they are actually mostly in the wrong.
And yeah, but then, like, once all that goes down, they destroy that diner. That is a huge fucking... And Sam Peckinpah shoots a hell of a bar brawl. There's people flip through tables and crap. It's all great.
And inherently, it's weird how it's shot. I feel like the stunts and the fights are the same as in Smokey and the Bandit, like, choreography-wise.
Right.
But they're shot in a way that makes them more dangerous feeling.
Right.
Because the cop jumps through a billboard, and I'm like, and goes into a barn, and I'm like, no, I've seen in Smokey and the Bandit, I've seen someone go over something like that, but it didn't have the inherent danger this does.
It reminded, yeah, like you said, you've seen a million cars burst through a truck or burst through a wall or burst through whatever. I don't rewind them all.
Right.
This one, for some reason, had some extra oomph, and it's the angle and the speed it's run at.
To the point where Chris Christopherson just stops the chase. Like,
oh my
whoa,
God.
Whoa, okay, time out. Are you okay?
Are you okay? Like, how often in a movie do you see somebody call it? And again, that in Smokey, that feels like the same joke that could have been done in Smokey and the Bandit. Burt Reynolds would have stopped, with the car flipped over in the river and
hey,
gone.
County Mountie, you all right?
Yeah, Smokey, you all right back there? But it hits different in Convoy because it feels like they stop and like, hey man, you good? Do you need us to call you a meat wagon?
Like they're like, do you need to call us an ambulance? Like, all kidding aside, that was crazy dangerous.
And then like once he's okay, he ends with like, well, hey man, I would suggest you just get better at driving cars before you try stunts like that.
Right. Right. Like everyone waits until like, okay, he's fine. I guess we can still fuck like.
And we got Ally McGraw as a character in this movie, technically.
Sure.
She's just a hitchhiker that gets, screwed by this. She's just supposed to hitch a ride with some truckers that are going the direction she's going. She didn't realize they were going to get into a tri-state, let's escape to Mexico federal government standoff.
Right.
And that's the other weird thing. Like, this thing all starts on a Smokey and the Bandit level thing. Of just one cop chasing them. But by the time they are in New Mexico, like 100 truckers or something have joined their convoy, hence the title. And like you said, all the other guys' reason is just, I don't know, I was driving around and heard some truckers said fuck cops.
Yeah, that's all they needed to hear.
Right. Like man, you had me at fuck.
And what's crazy about it is that the politics are on the working man's side at that point because they're the ones that have the unions.
Yes.
And the cops have not unionized yet.
Yeah, they have a conversation about that, which is weird.
And the corrupt cop is not looking forward to the unionize because he thinks, and maybe this was the sentiment at the time, that, oh, that'll just be a bunch of rules that they enforce on us. And wow, that was not the case.
Right. We had to pause it there and like, so is the implication here that they all believe unions are going to clean this place up?
I mean,
because like I'm pro-union and that's not what happens with cop unions.
No. Like all those people like that blackmailing cop are now going to get a whole nother level of protection.
Well, so I threw that on because John Paul Vital had posted a review of Songwriter, which is a Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson movie that he'd watched after the news of Christopherson's passing. And I thought I was thinking about Chris Christopherson movies I've seen, and Convoy came to mind, so I threw it on.
Well, I mean, it's like, well, I want to watch a Christopherson movie, and I've seen Blade way too much.
Right. But I do think I'll have to throw on Songwriter. It is fun, and he and Willie Nelson have some chemistry.
Isn't he in one of the versions of A Star Is Born?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I believe Convoy is the movie he made after, like, maybe right after Star Is Born.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, when you hear Sam Peckinpah's going to direct it, I guess you could just ignore the rest of it. But you'd think at some point so what's it about? About a long line of trucks, man.
Yeah, that's what a convoy is, I guess.
But like, what's it about? About a long line of trucks.
Like, I know what a convoy is.
Well, but the plot, fuck cops. Peckinpah's directing? Okay. That's how I feel like that whole thing went down.
To me, it feels of a different, like when I hear stories about the Knights of the Round Table and honor and chivalry, that to me, that it's the same thing. That sounds like a nice pseudo history that I can sort of believe in, but didn't really happen.
Right.
I feel the same way about the Smokey and the Bandit level. Like, no, rednecks and cops used to be natural, like in the wild enemies.
Right.
Like
the fucking sheepdog and the fox, man.
Yeah, like that they went to work every day.
Like, why do you think the Duke boys were running and jumping creeks and shit?
Yes, like the Duke boys were the heroes, and the sheriff was the bad guy, and and the show didn't have to justify that to you.
No, you understood immediately.
Like,
yeah. Man, well, at the start in the diner, they're having the fight and everything. The cop draws a gun on Ernest Borgnine is the cop. He draws a gun on the black guy, and the gun gets knocked out of his hand. Like Christopherson, I think, knocks it out of his hand, and it scatters away. And someone who is not in the fight, just one of the pool players, clears the gun with his foot.
Like just on a almost like on an honor system. Like, hey, so like someone sat him, like his mom sat him down. Like, okay, so Timmy, if you ever find yourself in a bar fight and a cop fucks with some other guy, I'm not saying you have to get involved in the fight, but if you have a chance, help the guy and not the cop.
Is that the redneck talk? Like, well, if a cop's gun slides near your foot, you kick that away.
You kick that away, yeah. Don't pick it up. That could come to another charge. But just kick it away and pretend you never saw it.
Because he does. He just slides it off with his foot.
He just slides that over the other way. Like, it doesn't have to explain. He doesn't know anything about it. He just knows a cop is fighting with another guy, and he immediately knows which side he's on.
Right.
Like, based on the uniform. Like, well, I know, like, fuck that cop. That cop's probably in here just fucking with that guy, trying to do his own honest day's work, like fuck him, and like fucking with us blue collar people just trying to get to work and go home. And maybe that's the reason, is that like the cops wised up and were like, you know what, maybe we'll just fuck with black people.
Right.
Rednecks seem like dangerous.
Well, and again, it's remarkable the co-opting of like you said, now you'd have to spend half this movie convincing everybody constantly that the cop was bad.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Well, also, man, we watched a anime unprompted.
Oh, yeah,
we watched. Adult Swim has that Uzumaki.
Yes.
Yeah, with the spirals.
Right. Which, man, I threw it on because episode 1 was getting praised so much for the animation, like remarkably matching the manga.
Yeah.
And so we didn't watch episode 2. I don't know if you saw any of the scandal about this.
No.
Episode 2's animation dropped so hard that it like to the point that people were outright asking like what the fuck happened. And one of I think the showrunner, one of the lead animators, I think he took the post down, but he posted of like, yeah, we got fucked. The choice was to release none of it, or finish it with the money that was available and release it.
Oh wow, that because I was gonna say, even in that first episode, I could see the black and white was hiding some of the 3D animation they were using to stitch.
So a lot of the black and white detail goes away in episode 2, and the 3D just stands out like a fucking Harmony Korine movie.
I knew they were getting away with that. I knew it.
And so yeah, man, everybody worked on it, everybody loved it, and like they
fucked us.
And they started this thing fucking 5+ years ago.
Well, no, yeah, it takes a crazy long time.
Pandemic, I think everybody got sick during pandemic, and they were a small animation team,
right?
And it just they never recovered.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we watched the first episode of it that looked gorgeous, but still, I don't plug into. I know it is undeniably creepy.
Yeah.
Every fucking image of it is weird and creepy, and the weirdness is there, and the feeling is there, and it doesn't add up for me.
Well, it would be a different thing if, and I'm sure they'll have a big existential talk about this before of what the spirals represent. But I kind of need okay, so what are the spirals though? Like, I get that they're a weird threat or whatever, but also like, are the spirals in our place in society where we are in constant movement but actually are not going anywhere? Is that the existential dread of living in a modern society going down the drain? Like, is like what are the spirals here? And I know the show would go, what do you think the spiral? And I'm like, no, but well, what are they though?
But what are they though? I don't know. It's insanely widespread at the very start of the first episode. I know I want shows to go faster, but my God.
Well, it feels like we dropped into a show that's already been going on.
Right. It gave me that feeling of like, I don't understand how anime storytelling works. What's happening here?
We watched the latest episode of Agatha All Along.
Yes.
Which I think is better now than when it was Sans Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, absolutely. Aubrey Plaza lights up every scene she's in. You nailed it. Like, it seems like her and Catherine Hahn discussed something off camera of like, hey, every time like Aubrey Plaza was like, every time I look at you, it's just going to be like,
intense.
I want to eat you alive. Fuck you, eyes. And then you pointedly never look at me ever.
Right.
And it really works. Really works.
Really works.
Also, she's just overjoyed every time anything bad happens.
Yeah.
Or stressful or worse.
Oh, she's just psyched to be on the Witcher.
Right. It's just great. It's just great. And we get to see a message from Nicholas Scratch, perhaps, or a ghost line about it.
Kid. Well, I mean, we saw the mom, so it stands to reason that why not the kid there?
And then we see Teen do something crazy at the end that we don't really know what it is, and then the show was over.
So, like, he gets that crown at the end, and I'm not familiar enough with Wiccan. Like, is that supposed to make him Wiccan?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know that.
I feel like I haven't looked at the online things of like, this proves Teen is this character.
Yeah. I mean, like, I read a lot of comics, and I still hit the end of Marvel shows, and I'm like, well, now to go online to Screen Rant and see what any of this meant. Which definitely means, I mean, I know Marvel doesn't give a fuck, but they're never going to pick up, like, my parents' generation on any of these shows.
Man, I know, and we also watched, like, on Disney, you popped in a couple, I don't know what struck you in the mood, you popped on a couple episodes of Recess.
Yes.
I was like delighted to see Recess again, of like, it was a little past, like, we're just slightly in different generation pools here for like what was out of the time, but Recess does feel, what was one of the episodes they just stole the Sandlot plot?
Yes.
Like, they just stole the plot from Sandlot completely.
Yeah, it's like a split episode. Like, the first half was the card game that takes over the yard, or takes over the playground, and the second half was Gus having to get the ball back.
Right. Yeah, because they have a ball from the Nixon administration.
Yeah, or Carter administration. It's the bicentennial ball. They don't even make those anymore. It's perfect aerodynamic. Like, and Gus wins first kick.
Right.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love Recess, and yeah, I was in college when that was coming out, and when I got to meet the voice behind TJ, when I get to meet all the Lawrence brothers, and the youngest was the voice of T.J. Detweiler. And like, yeah, you're Joey Lawrence. Whoa, great to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mrs. Doubtfire, fucking awesome to meet you. T.J. Detweiler.
Let me shake your hand, you
Shake your hand,
glorious son of a bitch.
Like, he looked like, I could tell that he was like, you're doing age math in your head, man. Go for it. It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, very exciting, and man, came on the heels of like Paramount wants to do a live action Rugrats.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that would be like a live action Recess would be, no, there's an inherent animation lets you get an exaggerated idea of what a kid's life is like.
There's a show called The Yard that is the closest to a real life Recess, and it's junior high.
Yeah.
But it's basically like, someone asked the question, like, what if Playground Lunch was Sopranos? And it's pretty great.
Yeah, see, you owe me the chocolate milk, but also you owe me the chocolate milk from tomorrow. That's the Vig. You see what you got to do. Joey, why are you talking? I got a cold. Sorry. Never got any medical
Kids knows, is
medicine?
he from Jersey? No, he's just always stopped up.
I haven't been to the nurse. You know, she wants me.
The kid with the allergies.
It says here you watched more High Potential. Good for you. I didn't think I was going to keep up with that. With the time.
Yeah. If you want a procedural to have a case to solve,
The week off did not help it.
no, it did not. Yeah, if you want a procedural with a case to solve, it's cute, but it is very much just a CBS procedural. The thing that elevates it is just Caitlin Olsen being cute, like being funny, like she's charming in every scene. But I don't know, if there were more on right now, or if I were busier, it would be the first show to drop, I think.
Sure.
Which isn't a knock against it. It's fine.
Right.
There's better than fine out there. In fact, a show that I would specifically term better than fine, I watched Tulsa King. Or we watched Tulsa King.
What was the episode this week?
Exactly.
Frank Grillo starts to...
Frank Grillo's the only person that has exactly the right energy for the show right now.
He's the exact right amount of mad.
He's been dealing with the fact that that Stallone killed his right-hand man and left the corpse just outside his driveway. And he's fucking furious. And rightly so.
And he calls the people like New York, like, I don't care if it's because if you're in on this or you don't have enough control over your people, but you're the guy I have a fucking problem with.
You sent a dude to Tulsa without paying me, for starters. And then when I sat down professionally and asked for what I was owed for owning Tulsa, you killed my dude.
Yeah.
He's fully in the right. I mean, he's a horrible, violent person, but
from a mob standpoint,
he's
kind of right
here.
though.
And Dwight is also like, again, season 2 is not the show that'll do this. Season 1, I feel like would have had real conversations about what Dwight just got out from under, the gap between what Dwight believed in prison and how that actually played out in season 1 of sending him to Tulsa and not rewarding his loyalty. And what that means in terms of another mobster showing up going, hey, you're under my thumb now. There's no good conversation about this.
I think you were right, the fact that they try and have this conversation after it's too late.
Right.
After they kill the guy, they have a conversation of like, Stallone's like, oh, well, maybe I should have cut a deal with this guy. I'm like, man, no, he should have had a really reconcile, like should I make the smart play and pay this guy? Can my ideals afford that? Like, will I just be the same? Like, there's a whole episode we missed where he really tried to make this.
Well, and honestly, the conversation before the fact would have been the way to do this differently than it was done by Chicky and Pete.
Right.
It's like, hey, so...
Well, Frank Grillo has not broken the rules for you yet. Like, he hasn't, like, wronged you.
Right, but, like, Stallone explaining, like, look, I don't want to run this like it was run for me, because that didn't, that was bullshit. So I'm going to include you guys in this decision-making with the understanding that I'm the only one here besides Goody that's come anywhere close to this kind of negotiating.
Right.
And here, and I'm telling you,
he should have.
I won't go to war if you guys don't want to, but you really can't go under that guy's thumb ever again. Ever.
I'll kick up. Like, he should have at least, like, I'll kick up a percentage, but I have autonomy. That means you have no decision making. What I have here,
right? this amount of money will show up and you
and
stay away.
the autonomy should have been the deal breaker.
Right.
Like, no, man, it's not about the money. It's about the power of me being able to tell you what to do. The money is just a extension of that.
Yeah.
Like, this is all about power.
Yeah.
Do you see how that is an interesting conversation that the show doesn't kind of avoid having? Of
No.
like that the Stallone should compromise on the money and then realize that, oh, the money's ancillary.
Right.
The money's not the point. The point is I own you.
Yeah. Which is something that you could parallel with Stallone's own personal problems, where he just throws money at things and it keeps pissing his family off.
Right, like his sister-in-law that's kind of just sleeping on the couch there and fucking with him. His grandkids that are going to school. Man, they just pretend like that fucking husband doesn't exist anymore.
He after his arm break, he bugged out.
Honestly,
can't really blame him.
The most interesting part of that episode was Neil McDonough realizing that he's not quite the badass that he thinks he is.
Yes, when he goes to his so he's the biggest grower in the state among other oil. He's a legit businessman.
But he uses what seems to be
like a cartel grower almost.
Grower or whatever.
They're Asian, they're
and
not.
they're I think it's a Chinese.
Yeah.
I think they called him a triad or something.
But he finds out that they're growing poppies on like, they were like, it's in the dead center, like nobody can see it.
Oh man, if they're Chinese and growing poppies, that feels profile-y.
Right.
Like,
right. And he tells him like, look, man, I don't give a fuck how well you think you hit it. We're here to grow weed legally, legal weed. This is like, it's like Bodhi keeps saying, like, again, my business is entirely legit. I'm not a drug dealer. I mean, I am, but it's legit. But the poppies are wildly illegal.
Right.
And so like,
it's an inherent level of risk that like, no, I can't accept that. That's federal time.
So he's been negotiating with them to like, no, get it all off my land. And then in the meantime, they've got two guys that I think were stealing product or something. And McDonough's just going to go like make a show of it, like threaten them. They've already had their asses whooped.
Yeah. And he's just going to give them more with this cane that he's got.
And it is the best moment in the episode, in the show so far this season, I think, that his guys, you realize that this is not a show to the other employees. This is a show for Neil McDonough.
Yeah, he's decided, I'm not sure if it was decided beforehand or right then, that like, no, I'm going to actually pull you in on this, and now you're an accessory to a double murder.
Yeah, because McDonough's partners that he just like tried to be the big man and threatened to get their poppies off his land.
Right.
Just shoot the two guys and look at McDonough and like, okay.
Like, no, you're
we'll
rich.
Grow whatever the fuck
you're
we
rich
want.
And you own land,
right?
But we're the gangsters here,
right?
Which puts them in prime position to have to ask
really
for
fun,
help.
So far on the show, man, it's really acted like McDonough is equal to Dwight,
right?
And the most interesting thing that this show could do is if he has to go to Dwight for help,
right? Because why did we think that? Because what does he immediately do? He calls Frank Grillo like a bitch,
right?
He doesn't solve that problem himself.
No,
he just goes, "Hey, isn't this supposed to be your territory?"
Right.
Like.
So like this season's not a bad show, and when I looked up online, I found a whole Reddit thread of people going, "Is it just me, or is season 2 markedly different than season 1?" And people were like,
"Oh no,
it's fine. It's just great. It's you just being you." And like, no, it is a fine show. It is better than fine. It is a different show than season 1.
It's not the show I cried at multiple times in season 1.
No, not at all. It's not compelling week to week. It's it feels more of a piece with high potential.
Yeah. No, sad. Kind of a. Anything else you want to mention before we get into?
Let's see. I finished out Serpent Queen, which I would highly recommend. That's over on Amazon Prime and Stars. Samantha Morton as Catherine de Medici. It's fucking brutal and fun. It takes a minute to get all the characters, but it crosses enough time that it really gets across the like betrayals with people that you're gonna have to still work with later. Yeah. And how that piles up. It's fucking great. Also, it ends in a spectacular finale.
Well, let's see what the prisoners say about it.
Right, exactly. Let's see. We watched of course we kept up on From, which remains fun week to week over on MGM Plus. I recommend everybody giving that show a shot. You won't jump in anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Please, just don't let it get canceled, guys. Like, watch this for us.
Right,
Help us out. If it cancels before I get answers, I'm gonna die.
Then you and I watched a movie about body swapping.
Holy shit.
called It's What's Inside.
So, wow.
The loudest, most stylish movie to ever not annoy me with that shit.
Well, the point of the style, you realize, is that it's in your face for just style reasons. There is just style reasons for it, but also later so that it's easier to tell who's in whose body for a body switch movie.
It is incredibly important for this visual language.
In this movie, it's about a bunch of friends who get a machine where they can swap bodies amongst the 7 of them, I think.
Yeah.
8.
Something like that.
There's
pairs.
There's
pairs.
6, so it's got to be an even number. But they do it multiple times, there's multiple rounds, and they play a game like Werewolf with it until things go really bad. And suddenly, well, I don't want to spoil it, but all of a sudden, some people have to decide which body they're going to have to live the rest of their goddamn life in.
Yeah.
Because their body is no longer an option. And that is, man, you want to know what your friends are actually like?
It's pretty complex, but they do a great job at the style and the visual language of making it followable.
Yeah.
But it's still complex enough that I honestly want to watch it again, just for the tiny things. The performances are what make this. The actors are doing an absolutely exceptional job.
They're really good at
playing each other.
Well, also, like, you realize why all these people are exaggerated kind of douchebags in the first.
Right.
Oh, they're exaggerated so that their behavior is immediately noticeable and distinct from the other douchebags.
Man, because the milquetoast wuss boyfriend, you can tell him.
I don't know if they decided that, hey, this guy walks with a slouch, because every time they do this, I immediately pick him out.
Right. It's amazing. I really enjoyed the shit out of this. It's a goofy, crazy movie. It is a cranked up Blumhouse style bodies. But with something not supernatural but weird happening.
I won't guarantee you'll like it, but I feel like it's worth a watch for the first go round. Like, it's gonna.
I also watched a movie called Oddity, which I thought was cool, but I didn't fully plug into. It's about a woman who is psychic and collects cursed objects, and her sister is murdered. She doesn't believe the official story about who killed him and decides to go get vengeance on the real killer using cursed objects. I love that premise.
That's great.
It is shot fucking beautifully. It has creepy style and weird sound design working for it through the whole thing. But I just somehow it feels very like a technical puzzle box, and I just didn't plug into it. It's not compelling. And that might just be me. It is good enough. I'd recommend people go watch it. You'll know pretty quick whether it's even interesting enough for you. I was interested in it the whole time. Like I was watching it going, I think this is cool. I want to watch the mechanics of how all this plays out. But at the end of it, I don't care. And that, I think, is why this didn't blow up in theaters or something.
Sure. It's like I'm interested to see how this murder was
absolutely
committed.
Is this going to play out the way I think it is?
But also the motivation behind it is not particularly interesting.
Right. It feels like I'm watching any given Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode.
Sure.
Just with a lot of spooky shit. Enough spooky shit that I'm going to finish watching the movie, you know? Like, the cursed objects are real. I'm going to finish watching. Like, I did finish watching it. But it was something off a little bit on it for me. Also, dude, the sound design is genuinely uncomfortable at points. Like, it is creepy in every frame. A little bit separate from the story. Like, it's slathered on a little thick.
Well, I mean, if it's about cursed objects, I know one of those cursed motherfuckers is a music box. Like,
weirdly, at least not that they use. There's a bellhop bell.
Okay.
There's a homunculus made of wood.
All right.
I think I made another movie called Caveat, which I've not seen. And there's a bunny rabbit with like cymbals that clap, and he's on a shelf in the background. And then we also will be talking about it on a future Patreon, but we also watched Wild Robot.
Yes, but don't wait for our Patreon to go take your kids to go see a really cool children's movie.
If you loved Iron Giant, go see Wild Robot right now.
Yeah. How Iron Giant made you feel about friendships or whatever, this will make you feel about your mom relationship.
Yep.
You'll call your mom right after.
Yep, you will. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Go see it. And then here in another week, come check out our Patreon if we discuss how much we loved it.
Right. Well, speaking of Patreon, should we
Yeah,
let
now
them know
feels
where
like
we can find?
now feels like a good time to mention, if you haven't joined us, we are at patreon.com/tvdudes. You can throw down $1 an episode, get bonus content every single week. This week, we're going to return to Winter River, Connecticut for a look at Tim Burton's insanely risky sequel, Beetlejuice.
That's where it takes place.
Yep.
Okay.
Will it make you want to say it a third time? Tune in to our Patreon and find out what we thought.
But first, let's talk about
The Penguin.
World ain't set up for the honest man to succeed. That should be the American dream right there. You know, beautiful story with a happy ending. But that ain't the way the world works. America's a hustle. Not that I'm complaining.
Penguin, you waltzing in here like you mean something. We're in the middle of a gang war.
Carmine Falcone's dead.
If we don't protect what's ours, we just look weak. The streets are talking again. They know there's only one man big enough to run this city.
Do you remember Carmine's daughter?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sophia, I thought you was still at,
Arkham? No. I've been rehabilitated.
the show no one asked for, and yet a delightful thing that was forced upon us. Like it was forced upon us without our consent, but yet, what a pleasurable experience. Nope. You know what? I'm gonna edit that out. You know what? No. Now I'm thinking about it. That's cowardly. I'm gonna leave that in and leave that in the editing bay. Yes.
Well, I mean, I honestly can't even imagine Colin Farrell asked for it, given the amount of time that has to involve in the makeup chair.
Well, I mean,
Does he just live like that for the year they shoot it? Does he?
No, I've seen Colin Farrell. He's asking for it.
Right,
The way he dresses, that level of he's asking for that level of makeup.
He's got the walk every time, so like I feel like they're doing something to his foot constantly during shooting.
I mean, either you got an actor that's constantly, good about remembering he's got a limp, or, and I would probably do this to the actor and just put them in a leg brace.
And I mean, the elephant man in the room, this show is Colin Farrell in a fat suit.
Yeah.
At its most reductive, that's what the Penguin is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just going to always be a little weird.
Especially since, I mean, we just watched Gotham, and
right.
I was like, that's Penguin.
Right.
He doesn't have to be fat.
No, he doesn't. The total makeup, the scarring on his face, the complete change.
Or if he does have to be fat, maybe hire
just hire a big dude.
Big dude.
Like that's why they got James Gandolfini. They wanted Tony to be that size and shape.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Vincent D'Onofrio is the Penguin.
Right. I disagree with why not just hire a dude somewhat close to that shape. That said, you were never going to hire a dude that looks like this.
Nah.
And so the total of the makeup,
he was always going to have some makeup on, I
think. You can decide for yourself whether it carries it past fat suit and into full-on prosthetic makeup. I feel like it does. Because Colin Farrell, I've seen in a ton of movies, and he vanishes. I don't just mean into the prosthetics. I mean,
honestly, I don't. And I've seen In Bruges, like he's a much better actor than people give him credit for.
Right.
This might be his
actual best role,
his best performance. Like he's he's captivating, charming. You like him, and yet knowing.
Well, and his character like gets to the core of the character, like the way he is gets to the core of him in a way that most characters on screen just never do. We were talking about how genuine and present and in the moment that all of his emotional scenes with him and one other character feel. But that's actually also a feature of the Penguin himself.
Yes.
In that he's playing every side against each other. But one-on-one in the moment, you cannot tell where his real loyalty might lie, if he cares about any of them.
Right, and because
he's so sincere in the moment.
When he's talking to Victor, I guess it's because there's no other character for him to throw Victor under the bus with, like he does with all the other characters. But when he talks to Victor, like, wow, I don't think you're even lying when you're asking about his parents and stuff. But then again, this is how you work, because in order to manipulate people, you need to know things about them.
Right.
To be this level of liar, you actually have to be an active listener.
Right. So, like, he is sincerely caring about the conversation with you and will have no qualms ever about using anything he heard in that conversation
Against
to hurt
you.
you.
Yeah.
It's not separate for him. It's not a choice he makes. It's not a problem.
I mean, Victor is ordering, and he's got that stutter. The waiter just tries to finish for him.
Right.
You know, and like be polite. And Penguin's like, hey, don't fucking do that.
Right.
Like, let him finish. And like tells Victor, like, hey, let them wait for you. You take up space.
Right. Like, he really is trying. I mean, he's also a terrible mentor, but he is really trying to mentor this kid.
And I think I'm starting to see why he likes Victor. Victor has a stutter and he has a limp.
Right.
Like, they are written off in conversations in society of like,
right,
as lesser, like, because of a physical disadvantage they have. And he feels like, I made it, Vic. Just follow my example,
and you can make it.
You can make it.
Yeah.
Almost like a proving to himself, like, that Penguin proven to himself that, like, no, like, Victor's just like, put the same guy with the same disadvantage or similar disadvantage in my position, he'll come out the same way as I did.
So on the Wikipedia, the description is that The Penguin is an American crime drama television miniseries based on DC Comics character The Penguin. No shit. It's a spinoff from the film The Batman, that series, that explores the Penguin's rise to power in Gotham City's criminal underworld. Colin Farrell is the Penguin, alongside Kristen Milioti, Clancy Brown, Carmen Ejogo, Theo Rossi, and Mark Strong. They started development on this in 2021. HBO Max ordered it in 22. Then that became Max for a couple of years.
Oh my god.
In March 23, it was halted in June of 23 because Hollywood studios were dickbags.
Holy fuck.
Production resumed in late November and concluded in February of this fucking year. And then they moved it to, I think it's on HBO officially, whatever that is, wherever that is.
Well,
so yeah. Anyway, it's got 8 episodes, and so let's talk about Milioti.
Oh yeah.
So Christine Milioti plays the
Sophia
Falcone. And after the events of the movie, which I can't stress how much I didn't care about, I really didn't think I'd give a fuck about this show and the jockeying for the power vacuum
left by Carmine Falcone's death.
Right, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't think. Milioti as Sophia, she's been in Arkham as somebody called the Hangman.
Yeah.
We still don't know the full backstory of that shit.
Right. Well, it's one of those things that it's great from a storytelling perspective because everyone else already knows.
Right.
Why would someone stop to explain
Everybody's
that?
either scared or preemptively apologizing for their role in not speaking up.
Right. So it's a great thing to, like, it keeps the audience in the dark on it while getting the juice of everyone knowing about it and being afraid of it.
And man, Milioti plays the tight wound, like, deep-seated anger, like she just stands there quietly smoking a cigarette while people get more and more awkward.
She claims once or twice that she's not the Hangman, so I'm not sure exactly what she means by that, if she was framed or like she didn't commit those murders.
I don't know.
But I'm also like, yeah, I see, but even so, I can see what you're like in a room with people, and it's very uncomfortable.
Right. But like our conversation about, you know, if you're wrongfully incarcerated and you commit a murder in self-defense in prison, should that count against you? Like, was she like this before?
Right. Has Arkham...
Or did... Because also Arkham gave her bliss the whole time she was there.
Well, I like that even Penguin, like in the latest episode, Penguin's like, look, I fucked you over. I told your dad that, whatever he told him. Like,
right.
And assumably about the Hangman stuff.
Right.
And I knew he was going to do something, but I didn't think he was going to send you to Arkham. Like, there is in the universe of the show, they're like, nah, Arkham's not where you go to, where you send
anybody you know.
Like no, you don't send.
You know that's not a rehabilitation place.
No, fuck no. You don't send someone you love there.
Right.
That's fucked up.
Like, she should be in Belle Reve at worst. Right.
Like, or in an actual psychiatric facility.
Maybe send her to literally, like, they don't have nicer places in Metropolis.
Yeah, like, there are other mental hospitals in the DC universe other than Arkham Asylum. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes,
right.
But there are.
Right.
And...
Belle Reve's a prison, never mind.
Belle Reve's, yeah, is the prison that is, I think, in Gotham, which is where like
Harley and them go.
It's where they send the non-insane people,
right?
You know, like the mobsters, like Penguin goes to Bell Rev to talk to Kelsey Brown.
That's right. That's where he goes. That's what it's in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, and Milioti also giving one of the performances. Like honestly, she's given a lot of performances of her career so far.
Oh man,
like,
every time that woman pops up on screen, she drops my jaw. Just in terms of like bringing it to the role, even when it's fucking thankless, like the mother on How I Met Your Mother.
Man, well, in this, it's just she walks into this room and is basically like tolerating everyone in it, even though they're doing some dumb shit that she hates all the time. And like, and man, the one guy in the crew, Vitti is his name, Johnny Vitti, is like the underboss, and he keeps trying to fuck her over and like get her out of there, and like, this isn't any of your business, little girl.
Right.
And every time she's in a room with him, like, I'm like, dude, I don't think you're reading the energy of this room right. Like, you think that, like, no matter what you say here, that this little girl is going to back down, and I'm not reading that off of her.
No. No. I don't think you've rechecked the rules since she got out of Arkham, man.
There's a lot of, like Milioti almost like, man, I don't like the energy of this room. It feels like a lot of, I want to get hung energy.
Right.
Like, feels like a lot of rope around neck energy here. like she gives a great speech about the new drug Bliss and how they used it on them in Arkham to take away their pain, take them away from where they were so that they were away from what was happening to them
in Arkham. Yeah.
And you can, without her having to say it, you can go like, she's using this drug to her advantage now because she sees the opportunity. She will never take this drug again.
No.
This drug made her submissive and helpless.
Right.
And that's
she doesn't
something
want
she's
to escape.
never.
She wants to destroy.
Like she doesn't want to be somewhere else.
No.
She wants to be present.
No, she wants to stay and fuck you up. Yeah.
Like she doesn't want to take the drug. She doesn't want to take the plane ticket.
She doesn't want to sleep.
She doesn't want to sleep. She does not want to go anywhere that isn't in the moment right now.
Right.
And that energy is dangerous.
Right. And I still don't know. We've only seen him in like one scene, but I still don't know what Theo Rossi's deal is.
I think he's her
therapist, but he seems fucked up and too close.
Right, like he feels a little too close to this.
He's not Hugo Strange, but I didn't recognize his name. But he seems
honestly.
You're a therapist in Gotham.
I really
dude.
respect them not doing. They
right.
haven't done any deep cut characters at all. Victor Aguilar is a character I'm pretty sure is brand new. Sophia Falcone, I don't think is
I think
in the
she's
comics
new for this. And I mean, honestly, his name is Oswald Cobb.
Right,
Cobblepot.
Oz. Yeah, like he's more of a because in this one he's not an aristocrat. He's more of a guy that was brought up in a town where it was an old Italian mob.
His mom having dementia, and he keeps her hidden in a neighborhood that, like, hey kid, I've never taken anybody here before.
Right.
Like I love all of that. All the shit with his mom. Like the show.
Did I raise a pussy?
The show is genuinely good.
It's so good in a way that you have to admit that the Matt Reeves Batman movie isn't, which kind of sucks.
No, because I was so mad to wait. The first one came out on a Wednesday, and then there wasn't one on Sunday. I had to wait. It was like a week and a half until up 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm jonesing for some fucking Penguin. I want to see this show. I started the Matt Reeves Batman and realized immediately that
he's not almost in any of that movie.
And so yeah, like he's in like the second 45-minute episode, and that's it.
Well, also
second and third.
In that movie, he doesn't quite fit in that movie. That's a dark, somber movie. This show is much more of a sleazy crime. Like, I can't tell you how much the Matt Reeves Gotham is Chicago.
Right.
And the Penguin Gotham is all of a sudden New Jersey.
Right.
These are two completely different places.
And in that, you know it at the start of the pilot, in the opening of it, when they go to the title card.
The title card, when he's telling that beautiful story about, honestly, the Tulsa King thing of like who he wants to be, and when the the Gobster's son realizes that's what he wants to be, and like
starts laughing at him
for being pathetic, and of course, like the onus of the show is that he kills this guy he should not have killed,
right?
And in the middle of that, like, because I was already thinking, seeing him waddle and the accent, I remember the accent. And I'm like, this is a ridiculous character,
right.
and like, oh geez, boss, good. Oh, glad you're here. It saves me a trip.
But it's that he's so opportunistic.
So he shoots Al, and for a second he's like, heh. Then he thinks about it. And it doesn't even get to the Penguin drops.
Right.
And I'm like, this show gets it.
Right.
Like, this is inherently different from Batman.
I can't explain how appropriate it is, as appropriate as the Peacemaker dance.
Yes, like that. What a great opening. And that episode closes on a Dolly Parton 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, the show is silly and fun. Like,
but not in a way that undercuts the
tension,
the threat or power
the threat of
it.
it. Like, they're constantly under threat.
I mean, I know Matt Reeves is not that, like, the Pattison, Battison is not Snydery or anything, but man, I've been hating new DC shit for so long. It is genuinely hard to get my head around how fun and cool and smart this show feels.
Well,
I can already tell I'm wishing it was longer.
Well, the brilliance coming in of how Victor's story reflects his, and also that when he was telling Sophia at the funeral about his mom's, like, his brother's funeral, which
Right.
I'm assuming is real.
It's probably real.
He slides in a lie that is just like, oh, like, why did you think your mom did that after so long?
Years, but...
What changed your mom for, like, she's been dead a few years, I haven't asked. And it's so seamless that even it takes the audience a minute to realize that
I met his mom.
No, I met his mom. That's a lie. But it's so flawless. And what most shows do when they focus around a liar, even if they're supposed to be good at it, the shows are too tempted to make them nervous and
it's
bad.
It's a red light on the bug.
So that the audience knows that they're
Right.
lying about something.
Like, they're the best spy in the world, but all of their listening devices have a red light to show the batteries on.
And Penguin is flawless to the point where I think I know what he's lying about, but I can't be 100% sure about it.
Unless you saw him do it.
Because he's a very talented liar. Because everyone knows he's a liar, and yet he still gets them to do what he wants them to do.
He's so useful, and you can't know. Eventually, you just give up. Like,
right.
It's the fire hose of disinformation kind of.
Come on, you knew if I let you hang and I'd have a bullet between my head, right?
Right. Ah, man. And the accent. All of it should add up to cheeseball shit.
Right.
That's what I expected.
Well,
when I saw that this was the spinoff they were going to do, and I was like, man, not that I wanted any spinoff of any of it. I didn't really enjoy the Pattison Batman that much. But I was like, why are we doing? Did anybody want this?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm so shocked that it's. I don't know. I've said it a million times already. Like, I'm just so shocked that it's this entertaining.
It's so fun. It's just and well made. The production value is great. Man, that flood sequence of
oh my gosh,
seeing Victor's flashback of his family looks exactly like how it did in the movie. And like, it's like, oh shit, his family got like wiped out. Like, in a way that shows that, like, oh, it's not a question of like, oh, I never found my mom after that. No, man. Nah, everyone in that building was fucked.
Yeah.
But also showing that I can see why Penguin feels betrayed by Victor later when he thinks about leaving.
Right.
And he's like, wait, I can just leave? And Victor's confused because he thought like he was basically like, what, you thought I was your prisoner? You were my prisoner? I
started working for you under gunpoint.
Yeah. And I honestly, I'm like, and this is what an abusive relationship kind of is like, of like gaslighting the person. You always had the option to leave.
Like, no, man, I'm pretty sure I didn't on day one.
And I'm like, maybe eventually I did, but not that first day.
And you purposely never told me when I crossed that line.
Right.
Like I know somewhere in his mind, Penguin knew that, like, I'd let the kid leave today, but I'm not going to mention that.
Right. And he's excited for him. Like, this is your first night as a bagman. Like, oh how you doing, kid?
He's so excited for him.
Like, I can't. Hey, we never discussed your salary. Like, here's $1,000 a week. You know, you got to tell people what you want.
I want $2,000 a week.
No. See, that's the spirit, kid. But no.
Yeah.
Oz, what if she asks me about her brother and her brother and her driver? I'll just tell him you had a hand in killing them both. See what happens. See how it goes. Just like his deadpan. Like, Penguin's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love this show. I hate waiting all the way till fucking Sunday at 8 p.m. for it.
I'm genuinely curious how the relationship, like, honestly, I'm genuinely curious, not about plot. I'm wondering where relationships end up, which is normally not a thing I care about. I'm wondering, so he killed Sophia's brother.
If Sophia lives through all of this, do they still work together?
A person she loved.
Right.
But yet their relationship seems to be growing very strong to a point where I'm like, man, I would hate to see Christy Milioti go. She's so good. But I feel like by the end of the season, they both can exist here.
Right. But I could also see a world where where Sophia sees the big picture and knows that her brother was a fuck up and needs to go because money solves everything. Like money brings everybody to the table.
Here's what, if I was writing this and I laid the groundwork like this, Sophia is dead set, almost pathological about being in the present.
Right.
I'm not taking a drug to mess me up. I'm in this present moment. And Oz, always thinking about the future.
Right.
And Victor is always thinking about his past.
Yes.
So I think by the end of this show, some of these characters are going to be able to, like, reach a medium, and some of them won't be able to bend. And I feel like Sophia will not be able to bend.
And will get destroyed.
Yeah. Because she cannot. No, like, in the. Her strength is also her greatest weakness. Being very present in the moment is honestly what makes her character so compelling and strong.
Well, and I would have her consequently stand alone through the whole thing. She'd, just being like an island. And Vic pulling Penguin into the present moment of like, man, you got to enjoy this sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And Penguin pulling Vic of like, Vic, you got to think of the future, man.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Like that. Penguin's trying to pull people into his perspective, and how far can he bring people so they can see the same thing he sees.
Right, kid, you got to see the future of Gotham here. Come on.
Right.
Black Vegas.
And honestly, that's more in depth than I thought any version of the Penguin show would be. But I really think, like, I'm either way, if the Victor relationship falls apart or if they are friends by the end of it, and he is his right-hand man, I think both endings are interesting for a possible season 2.
Right.
What does a Victor that does commit to this look like?
Right.
What does a Victor that decides he doesn't want this look like in a season 2? I think those are both interesting.
Right.
Which is a great story place to be.
What is a penguin that nurtured a kid, like a mentee through the whole first season, and then Victor fuck something up or betray him in the finale and him have to kill him?
Right.
What does that penguin look like in season 2?
Like, oh yeah, like, sorry, Oz, I was thinking about my future. And
how would Penguin roll with real betrayal?
Right. Could he forgive it? Because
Victor knows where his mom is. There's real danger there.
There's some real danger, yeah. Well, I mean, at that point, you and I were like, you can't leave, you dumbass. Like, you know way too much.
Right.
Like, the only reason you're alive right now is because, like, Penguin has direct access to you. Like, you're in his line of sight. Like, if you're out of his line of sight for like
more than a day, dude.
More than a day, I think like you're like, he'll reconsider the math on it.
Right. He may be fine now, but at some point tonight, his brain's gonna go.
And it's your job to like not let that happen.
Right. You need to walk in right then of like, hey boss,
you need anything? What's up?
Right.
I also think that putting the onus on what Victor is choosing over, his family and the girl that he likes, and that was even smart that I wasn't imagining it. His stutter gets worse and better depending on the situation, and his stutter is almost gone when he's talking to her.
Yes.
It's still there a little bit, but this is the person he's the most comfortable with.
Nerves and authority gives him nerves.
Yeah.
So like his dad is where it's worst. It's pretty bad all around Penguin, but it varies.
But in that last episode, he's in the bathroom, and eventually he gets to a point where he tells him, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Fuck me. Fuck the world. Like, fuck the world that fucked you over. I didn't fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a very real it's like the first real conversation they've had.
And like it's oh man, it's a great marker of, I don't know that this is probably just as cliche as any of the shit I complain about, you know, female characters or black characters in shows or whatever, but a stutter as a tell of confidence and strength and character growth.
Sure. Or just what this relationship is at.
That makes it sound like people with a stutter are like at the start of some character arc they need to go on, and that's probably not. I would
liken it to, it's a more of an indicator.
Right.
A gauge.
Right.
Like,
in the sense, like I liken it to television having every pregnant woman throw up in the morning and their water break on screen. Like stutterers got to get, like, how do you show who the stutterer's in love with?
Yeah.
Well, their stutter goes away. Like,
yeah. Sure. Like, very simple, but hey, sometimes simple is pretty effective. But he's in that cop, and he has the bad started before, but then at the end where he does the slickest thing he's done in the entire show, where it's like, man, it's a lot of money for a young man.
That is absolutely Victor's smartest moment in the entire show so far.
Looks that cop like fucking dead in the eye, and he goes, "What money?
I've never had any money.
I don't have any money. I don't think I've ever owned a fucking dollar in my life." What it's like? No, he doesn't say that, but he's like
basically just like, I've never seen money.
Like,
but yeah.
What money? I don't know what you're talking about. And the cop just goes like, "Oh yeah, my mistake," and just pockets.
Yeah, and then looks at him knowing the game and like, when your boss gets back, move this car.
Right. And like
I love that it didn't just get him out of the interaction. It was enough money in his pocket that it bought him to keep the car there. Yeah. Yeah.
And
it stopped the cop from looking in because there's bliss literally sticking out of the bag that he didn't zip up.
If I do have to criticize Victor here, like, maybe zip up the bag.
I mean, he's not Tyson level bad.
No, but like, you could have zipped the bag a little bit.
Right.
But and then at the end of that, it was the first indicator to me in that episode that like, oh, maybe Victor does have what it takes to
eventually be good at it, because that was an instinctual thing.
That was on the fly thinking and calm enough in the moment to get it across quick enough to like,
and understanding, just understanding the situation and knowing what to do. And it was the best moment he's had.
Recognizing this is a shakedown, or if it's not, I can make it a shakedown because that works for me.
Right. But I care about every character. I want to see where Sophia goes. Like you said, I care about the relationships. I care about the plot. It's just fun. This makes me okay with Pattinson staying Batman. I didn't mind him as Batman. I just thought that movie was too much.
Yeah. He looks good in the suit. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Like, I think it takes a skinny actor like to really pull it off. To like that suit adds.
Yeah, I don't
fucking weight to the sides. Like
the Frank Miller style Batman, like the slab of Batman, doesn't come through the same. Like I don't want Marv from Sin City in the Batsuit.
Sure. But yeah, I don't want Batman to show up. I feel like if Batman shows up in this show, it'll become the show I don't want it to be.
No. This show needs to exist for long enough and stick the landing so that it changes the tone of the Matt Reeves Bat universe.
Yes, not the other way around.
And not the other way around.
Agree.
I want this to be where we go from here. And I think if they have any intention of it ever being more than an Elseworlds and dovetailing into what Gunn's doing with Superman and the rest of the DCU, I think they've got to bring. It doesn't have to be Superman light, like it doesn't have to be lighthearted.
Well,
but like Penguin adds enough purple and goofiness to bring it into something that could eventually run into these other shows.
You did,
you know?
Yeah. You covered almost all your tracks, Oz, except for the fact that you drive a fucking purple car.
It's plum,
technically.
You like that? You like the air freshener there? It's good, right?
Also, another slick lie from Victor, like, "Hey, is Clarence with you? Like, I haven't seen him since you also disappeared. Haven't seen him.
Nope, don't know.
He's definitely not dead as fuck in the same goddamn like junkyard that Al Falcone
Your
is
brother's in. Oh my god! Look at the sunset, kid. No, man, don't do this. Yeah. So, Penguin's fucking great. Folks can watch it on Sunday nights on Max or HBO or whatever that app is called now.
Or whatever it'll be called.
Whatever it'll be called by the time this comes out. And that wraps it up for us this week. Tune in next week. We're going to discuss another anime chosen by showrunner patron Danny Doggett. We're going to watch 4 episodes of Chainsaw Man.
And until next time,
TV Dude's out!
out! Oh! Bada bing! It's the only thing he doesn't say.
Right.
You're playing a dangerous game with his family, Aunt. You think I want Sophia Falcone knocking on my door?
She is the hangman.
What is it you're really after, Oz?
I'm gonna tear down the empire from the inside out.
Whoever controls the drug business controls the streets.
I'll be running the whole damn trade.
I got ambition. I can help you. Hey!
Feel alive, Vic, huh? Feel your heart beating?
This city is meant to be yours, sweetheart. What are you gonna do to get it?
Trust me. It's just the beginning.